purpose is to co-create the future of Her City together with all of you. I don't have to point this out. I think we are aware, but more than 50% of the world's population is female, but only 5% of cities are led by women. And we know that women are systematically excluded from decision-making processes. And that's exactly what UN Habitat's Her City Toolbox has set out to address. How can we ensure that girls and women are more involved in urban planning and design processes? Of course, we've been developing this together with a wide variety of partners, and it's really nice to see that Her City is now used in lots of different urban contexts globally. What it does is that it contains a kind of step-by-step approach which makes use of a digital toolbox in 9 flexible blocks. And it's being implemented in 20 projects that UN Habitat are involved with together with different partners. It's on 4 continents, and it's being delivered together with our regional and country offices, as well as other UN agencies and other partners. What's been amazing as well is that the platform and the toolbox has received lots and lots of interest from independent initiatives. It now has 1,200 registered users from 430 cities in 120 countries. I think this is amazing. I think when we started this in 2017, 2018, I never would have expected this kind of amazing uptake of the platform. So the Her City team that's sitting here, we're together, by the way, in Nairobi in the Geneva room, with the Her City team, and they're right now working on improving the toolbox, exploring ways to expand the use, find new ways to establish new partnerships, raise additional resources, etc. And the purpose of this community of practice is to kind of kickstart this dialogue, valuation of what's been going well so far, and what can be done to take Her City to the next phase. And what we're looking for is a really creative, collaborative community of practice, where we can get perspectives from all of you in different ways. And when we do this now, let's really think about scaling up. Like, how do we really take this to the next level? How do we build the partnerships, the networks, and importantly, how do we get the funding to integrate this tool in all our projects? With that, I want to pass on to a video. So we'll get a video that basically gives us a better flavor of what Her City is all about.
UN Habitat promotes smart cities that are people-centered, especially for women and girls. Together with our partners, we have developed research, tools, and methodologies to ensure that all women and girls can take advantage of the digital innovation in cities to meaningfully participate in the decision-making that shapes their daily lives.
It was a really cool project because even the little kids like me could help out with make the city a better place.
It's been 5 years since we participated in the program, and the street since then has become more developed and it is now more frequented than before. It seemed kind of unbelievable that this was made with Minecraft.
So seeing my own idea as a kid, changing a whole area in my city, it was very special to me.
It's unbelievable that we were able to make reality what was once only an idea in our computer screen.
Finally, decision makers have changed their perspective because maybe they realize that we can make a change.
Now we are standing in Mar Mkhayel, in specific on Vendôme stairs, which were severely affected by the Beirut port explosion. We ensured the engagement of everyone without leaving anyone behind, with special focus on women, girls, children, persons with disabilities, and elderly. We have used a range of participatory methods including participatory walks, Minecraft, stakeholders meetings, etc.
The project started out with us going for a walk in the area and talking about how they made us feel and how certain places made us feel unsafe and what we would like to improve, such as brighter lights, more colors, or just places that we can sit so we're able to hang out with friends and also make people stay at Infitia. So it's just not a place that we pass by. And it ended up with Minecraft that helped us visualize our ideas.
Kwa tuna collect data na venye tutatengeneza iko down. Mambo ya how hapa security, barabara, street lights na vile hii ujenzi itakavyokuwa in future. Tuliongea na watu wa pikipiki, pedestrians na vilema pia tuliongea nao wote.
Nikivuka barabara kuna zebra crossing hapo na must mama anivukishe. Wanaweza kufanya pale zebra crossing watoto wavukange ni mzuri.
So that was very impactful that the girls could come together and actually take a walk and define the things that they felt were a challenge on the road. Such small things like a wall has such great impact on how we view a space, how we view a road, and I had never considered that such a small element would have such a great impact.
Poverty is not just about the lack of money, it's the lack of information, opportunity and choice. And in an impoverished township like Diepsloot, it's also the lack of having a voice or being able to fix what you see is wrong. So at first the girls said that there were challenges with gender-based violence, with teenage pregnancy, drug and alcohol abuse, gangsterism. But when we went on the exploratory walk, it was interesting to see how angry they got about water running down the street, sewage overflowing, children having nowhere to play. And I can't wait to see when the tactical urbanism plays out and they see that they are empowered to actually make a change.
I would like to see my point being seen and my dreams being visualized, because I dream for Diepsloot to be a better place, and I believe that with my help it could be a better place.
Great, it's amazing to see all the amazing projects from Lebanon to South Africa to Sweden, and of course there are many more. Next, what we want to do is have an interactive session using Miro. I'm sure many of you are familiar with it. This session will be led by my colleague Tove Levonen from the Shared City Foundation, and she will explain how this works. Tove, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Pontus. We're actually gonna start with a Menti before we move on to Miro for the interactive session. We want to know who you are. So Vicky, you can keep the QR code. So I would ask everyone to pick up their phone or have the link. I'm going to post a link in the chat where you can access the Menti in your browser. And this is just to know who's in the room. So let's see if we can see any people dropping in. We have one. Perfect. Great. Vicky, you can take the next slide, I think. So the first question is, what's your relation to Her City? Are you a Toolbox user, or maybe you participated in a project? We have two others. Now I'm curious what others are. Project team people. Just to get an overview of who's here and how you relate to the project. Partners and project teams, mainly project teams. And also Toolbox users. That's always interesting. We're 26 people in the Menti, so it should be a few more answers. Great. Okay, so a lot of others and a lot of project team. Great. We can go to the next slide, Bacon. So where are you from? You can enter your country and city. Oh. All over, where we have some people from Greece and from Denmark, Italy. Is it possible to scroll down, Raycon? Or, yeah. Philippines, one more from Kenya, Dublin. Okay, so we're all over the place, all over the globe. Ooh, nice. Okay, can take the next slide. Yeah, how many women and men are there? Or others? Majority female. It usually is. Wow. But we still have some men with us. That's good. Okay, next slide, please. We can. Okay, age. We ask you to check boxes here, so you don't have to specify your age. Okay, 25 to 34 is it's a big group. And 35 to 50. We don't have anyone under 9. I think that might be good for the conversation, maybe. Okay, next slide, Raycon. And what sector do you represent? Are you an international organization or public sector, private sector, civil society, right up, academia, grassroots? No one from private. Okay, one from private sector, one grassroots. That's interesting. I can imagine a lot of UN colleagues bringing up the international organization stable. Okay. We can take the next slide, yeah. I think this is a word cloud just to get us in the right mindset. So what is Her City for you? You can post a word or 3. Oh, a toolbox, yeah. Toolkit. That's right. Dreams come true. Opportunity. That's good. And the more of the same, the bigger the word gets. So inclusion, collaborations, a big opportunity again. Public space. Wow. Safety, smart cities. That's nice to have. Toolkit, women empowerment. Okay, Pontus, I will leave you with this word cloud. Give it back to you.
Thanks, Tove. Really nice to see where we all came from and the different perspectives on Her City. Next, we will go into a panel discussion with some distinguished guests and friends, colleagues. Really nice to have you all here. So we have Lubna Shaheen, who is the Senior Program Officer at the UN Habitat Regional Office for Arab States. We have Bobay Lee, who is a facilitator or was a facilitator from UNFPA when in Thailand, when the Her City project was there, but is now at WFP. We have Sanna Findal from Botkyrka municipality in Sweden. She's an urban planner who was leading the Her City Botkyrka project. We have Heidi Clark, who's the executive director from the Sandals Foundation, representing Her City Montego Bay. We have Joy Mboya, who's the director of the Go Dance Art Center in Nairobi, and representing the Her City, Her Streets in Nairobi. And finally, we have Valina Gerupanta, who is a assistant professor at the Technical University of Crete, representing Her City, Crete. You will have, all of you, about 5 minutes to tell us a little bit about the project that you did with Her City, and tell us a little bit about the strengths and weaknesses, some of the challenges, etc. Really looking forward to this. We'll start with Lubna. Over to you. And I will. I'll have to be a bit ruthless on the time, so I will put a timer on my phone. 5 minutes for each speaker. Sorry, Lubna, over to you.
Thank you, Pontus, and good afternoon, everyone. Happy to be with you in this interesting session today. I'm also glad to say maybe our project, like Haya joint program, which focused on eliminating violence against women in the West Bank and Gaza Strip, probably was one of the very first projects and programs that have utilized the toolkit. Like to say the complete package, like, because maybe some of the other projects have like picked some of the blocks, but we had like the opportunity with our work is to go through the whole process from like the citywide assessment and then to develop like strategies at the city levels, then to move on to site-specific assessment, and then to select like pilot projects and to design jointly with the local community, utilizing Minecraft and other participatory tools, all the way through to the implementation. And probably we went a little bit beyond Her City Toolkit, and we managed to start working on the institutionalization process, which I can elaborate a little bit more in the second part of this session. For us, it was actually a great kind of like experience, because it was also kind of learning by doing. It was something new for us in Palestine that is implemented for the first time, to kind of like look at public spaces in a comprehensive way through the citywide assessment. So in that sense, like all the toolkit and all the kind of like the different steps that we try to kind of engage with the support of our colleagues at the Global Public Space Program. And so we were able to kind of like navigate the process jointly with our local partners, like some 5 different cities across the West Bank and Gaza Strip. So in a way, the whole process, I have to say, in terms of how the Her City Toolbox is kind of like formulated, is quite easy to navigate, it's quite flexible. It gives us like the opportunity to kind of customize, localize to fit to the local context. So I start with all these things that worked well with us. And at the end, we were able to kind of like develop kind of a report for every city that helps the local municipality to kind of like have a view for all the public spaces in the city. They can see which are the priority public spaces for further development, what is needed to like what kind of intervention is needed. So all of that was possible through like this process. And I have to say also what helped us actually to achieve these results, that we also have good local partners, whether it was kind of like at the national level with the political support of the Ministry of Local Government, but also within the municipalities that we worked with them. And what encouraged them, that all of them, they knew that at the end of this long process, we were able to kind of, or were willing to implement kind of like a pilot project in each city. So that was kind of like an incentive for all of them. So now we have like managed to implement 5 public spaces through the whole process. So we finalized like the process from A to Z, and we are working with the municipalities on the post-implementation kind of like follow-up in terms of like management, maintenance, and we will have, we're planning kind of like a post-implementation assessment, which will take place like in the second quarter of 2024. So it's kind of like have a view of what worked well, what didn't work after we implemented these projects. What was challenging through the process, if I kind of like shed the light on these issues, of course, working with like municipalities, local authorities, they not always have the capacity to kind of like utilize these tools like in-house. So they always kind of like they needed support from our side or from our colleagues at the headquarters. So especially when it came to the part of like utilizing the Copa Collect, link it to the GIS, like maps, and to analyze the data and all of these steps. So we always needed kind of like support here to kind of like build their capacities. Something else which kind of like made us think after we finished like the implementation of the public spaces, okay, what's next? What to do after that? Like the toolbox is just finished, like we did all the steps. And it occurs to our mind that it is important to kind of like work with them on institutionalization of the process. Okay. So I will make it short and leave the next part. Another challenge was, another challenge was the language. So we had to translate to Arabic, all the kind of like the questionnaires. And like that was like a main kind of like a challenge. And the lessons learned at the end, just to conclude with that, is the whole process. We were able to kind of like see more like awareness between like the colleagues and the staff that we worked with, that were more sensitive towards like gender sensitive planning and design. So that we feel that like after like 5 years of working with the local partners. I'll stop here and continue in the second part. Thank you. Over to you.
Thanks a lot, Lubna. Really great to hear that, and great to see you. Next, we'll go to Popeye Lee, who represents her city, Jiangkong. Please go ahead. I'll set the timer again. I know it's short and a bit tight, but I'll hold it up when it's 1 minute left.
So, hi, this is Boberi, which I conducted neighborhood assessment and analysis on communities' views on gender equality for her city, Thailand, in last year. So the context of Thailand is a per middle-income country in 2011, but it still suffers from gender-based violence, climate change, and social inclusion challenges. So Chiang district is at the border of Thailand, Myanmar, Laos, and bordering the Mekong River as a border, and it has 9 ethnic groups. So in this district, 16% of 90 high school students know someone who was sexually abused, according to Center for Girls Foundation, who was our partner. So through this assessment and analysis, so we used the 3 analytical lens, which is climate change, safety, and social inclusion, with a fundamental principle of her city, gender equality, to assess the public space. So target group is, of course, the women, especially girls, but also secondary target group as women from different age brackets, women from different ethnic groups, and local administrators from different sectors, including men. So public space assessment, there's a lot of opportunities because of the Thai culture, the spatial flexibility with activities, and there are a lot of layers and network of public space. However, there's a gap in inadequate quality of public spaces. So we did participatory action research with our partner, Women for Girls. And key findings was the participants were able to define and expand the notion of public space, even to virtual spaces. And in terms of climate change, there's a genders different. So men participants, they struggle to position climate change in their everyday life. And participants connected more activities with the safer public spaces. And participants, they were able to identify social network with a hierarchy. And also they considered the well-being of people with disabilities, elderly, and women. So we also did youth-led public space assessment and race generation, even though it was only 2 days, but they did an amazing job. But however, they struggled to position climate change in their everyday life. However, they could connect the safety with the people around them, and also connected social inclusion with activities, able to determine vulnerable groups. We did exploratory work. You will be familiar with this. So they suggested renovation ideas in terms of climate change, safety, and social inclusion. This result amazing work by these 3 groups. You could see from the report if you request her city team. But the gap was the youth and also men groups and even experts, including architects, they struggle to position climate change and analyze its gendered impacts in their everyday life. They keep saying that we are one, people are all same. So it'll be really important to give gender equality training for expert groups. Also, they are struggling applying to this assessment, intersectionality of public space, gender equality, climate change, safety, and social inclusion. And also men leaders, they understand the gender equality in theoretical layers, not able to contextualize in their communities. However, the opportunities we found is that all participants are able to expand the notion of public space, and women in all age groups were able to contextualize and localize public space, gender equality, climate change, safety, and social inclusion in their everyday life. And participants in this district, they understand regional connectivity and diversity from the Mekong River. And all participants were able to connect the activities of people with the physical spaces and understand the impacts. So the way forward, I would like to invite Adipat from UNFPA Thailand to let us know what has been progressing from last year. Adipat, over to you.
Thank you very much, Bobe. So yes, last year
we have about 30 seconds.
All right. Okay. So basically, we first to this year we have talked with like our local networks who are working in the urban planning and also architecture network called Creative Cruise, and we were also talked in conversation with the Bangkok Metropolitan Authority, where we might find a few communities in Bangkok to start with her city. And for Chiang Khong, we are have building the capacity of our local partner there, right? And this coming week, we're going to continue with the awareness about gender. We're going to have the what you call events, the run across the river from Thailand to Laos, is neighboring country, right? So we are going to have that event next week, actually this weekend. So basically, we keep the momentum about gender awareness, gender and women, violence against women, those issues in the community, and we are going to continue with the rest of the process according to the toolbox that are going to take place very, very soon. Yeah, that's the way forward. Two provinces.
Thank you so much. And there'll be more opportunity to discuss this also in the next panel. Next, let's go to Sanna Findal from Botkyrka municipality to talk about her city project there.
Hi, everyone, and thank you. Very happy to be here. I think this is going to be brief. We took part of, I think it was one of the initial stages of the development of the Her City Toolbox, which was in 2018 and 19. It was then called the Urban Girls Movement. And there was a proposal if we wanted to engage in this project and if we could find some kind of case that we could work with to test out these methods and see if they would work. So the toolbox that we worked with was slightly smaller than the one that we see today. But I still think it had the main elements were already there. And we chose a part of Botkyrka. Botkyrka, by the way, is a municipality that is located southwest of Stockholm. We have about 95,000 inhabitants, and we worked with Fittja, which is a borough in Botkyrka with about 7,500 inhabitants. And the reason we chose Fittja was that we knew that in this place in particular, we had a problem connected to gender equality and the use of public space, where girls and women in particular, but also children, would feel unsafe using the public space, even during the days, not only nights. So this would affect, well, basically a democratic use of the main public space in Fittja, which was the Fittja Square, but also the access to the public transportation and the Fittja Commercial Center. So that was the location that was chosen, and there was a group set up, including experts, participants from the municipality, of course, a group of girls. And I have to admit, I didn't take part of every single step along the process, but our main, I think, experiences from this was, first of all, that we saw that the girls during this process, they were empowered in this, that they saw that their opinions and their knowledge and their view on things and needs of this space, and also their proposals, that they were valued and that they were listened to. And this was also something that has inspired processes further on. I think the second most important part of it was that this project, it's brought together local actors, local organizations, property owners, the municipality, the collective transportation organization, and brought us all together to a neutral room with a neutral host and made us talk about the place instead of focusing on our different interests or whatever it might be and getting stuck in negotiations. So instead we talked about the place and we listened to the girls and the analysis that they came up with and of course their proposals. And it created a common ground in a way that we hadn't had before. And since then, there has been a bid organization that has developed around this space. And it rests, I would say, on, at least partly, on the experiences from the Urban Girls Movement project. The knowledge that was created there, but also the proposals and the analyses. And you can actually see that it's also affected the physical space in different ways. There have been some smaller interventions, you could say, such as temporary furniture, but there have also been changes to the environment in general, such as roofs being removed for better lighting, better overview of the place, less shadows. Metal blinds have been removed from shop windows. And let's see if I can see, yeah. We have a winter lighting in the square, improved entrance for the commercial center. And it's also inspired an adjacent park, and both the process and I think the results. You can find inspiration in the Urban Girls Movement project as well. And also there is a new project proposal for the Fitja Square now, which is to be renovated. It's already started by now. And I would say that the experiences from the Urban Girls Movement, it's also underpinned this project. And the experiences from it were drawn and taken into the project Fitja Square. Let's see. No, maybe I'll stop there and there will be another chance, I guess, to add things.
Thank you, Sanna. Next, we'll go to Joy Mboya from the Go Down Art Center here in Nairobi to tell us about the Nairobi project. Over to you, Joy.
Thank you and greetings to everybody. I think that our Her City, Her Streets project is really an extension of something that we had started already, which was to develop our art center, to scale up our art center into a civic scale institution. Our art center is an independent purpose space, and it's bounded by 2 streets. And we were interested to try and see how these 2 streets, these 2 public streets, could be an extension of this idea of public space, which the Go Down is. The Her City Toolkit came to us at an opportune time, and the nature of the toolkit was also fortuitous for us because in thinking about the redesign of the new Go Down, working with the architects, this had been a participatory and inclusive process. And to have a toolkit that could now, be very targeted at working with a particular group, which is women and girls, to begin to analyze a street and ideate and visualize, I think was something that we found quite valuable. I think that a number of things worked well for us because we had already started a process of participatory design way before we ran into the Her City Toolkit. We had built networks and community around this whole idea of participation, and we feel that this contributed to some of the success of working well with this toolkit. Some of our prior networks and partnerships included collaborations of relationship and trust with a women's organization called WIRE that worked with young professionals in the built environment. Community-based organizations that worked with us in arts and culture were big collaborators in pointing young women and girls to us. And then, of course, we had built a relationship with the street vendors and the street businesses that sit around the Go Down. So out of these areas, we were able to draw our core group of the Her City, if you can call it, target group that helped us assess the street. The other thing that went in our favor was that this came along during, I think, a difficult time for the world, which was COVID, but it meant that it gave us time and space, so people were available. And over a very systematic process of about 9-10 months, I mean, each month we would actually target and work very, very, very diligently in a particular area. What else worked well, I think, was the technical assistance that we got from the UN Habitat team. The toolkit is fairly straightforward to use, but when there were bugs with the Kobo, I think they were very quickly available to debug these. The women were quick at learning how to work with the toolkit, but also that it was flexible for those who could not work with their phones, who could not work digitally. We worked with questionnaires in group. There was assistance in translating the if required. We then also, of course, had support in working with Minecraft. And because we wanted to then build a Minecraft model of the streets and the building of the godown itself, the new building, the UN Habitat team was very instrumental in helping us identify a builder who helped us build this. And then they were available for all of the various meetings that we held. We held a number of community meetings there to come and share and debate. We had a certificate issuing meeting. They came to that. We had a World Cities Day, where again we focused and brought other partners on board. We had validation meetings, and it was great to see them, come and participate in all of those and be supportive. I think what was problematic was, maybe I'll mention just 3 things, was that, of course, ideating, visualizing through the digital tools, through Minecraft, is one thing, but then to begin to now work with the professionals to draw this up ready for implementation, things became a bit technical. And our concern was, how do the girls continue to be engaged and understand and be able to make a comment on what was now being translated by technical folk. And so we had a number of sessions on these, and we tried to make sure that the technical people did not override the thinking of the girls, and to make sure that they actually incorporated the ideas of the girls. And this happened a few times. And then to also just be able to see how the girls could really read these designs, we applied for a small grant, which we won, to enable us to build a 3D model of the designs that were visualized by the planners and the landscape architects, so that the women and the girls could actually see this in 3D and be able to comment on something that was a little bit more tangible, more visceral. And then we walked them through a part of the city that had been developed, which had elements that were similar to some of the things that they had ideated and visualized, so that they could make a comment on some of these and see that ideation and visualization does not mean mindset change, that sometimes we design these things, but until the community itself sort of changes the way it sees these things and behaves, that change is a process. So when we did that walk, it was interesting to see how the security guards, who are seen as eyes on the streets and a point of safety in one way, are also a deterrent sometimes, that they obstruct your feeling free to be able to hang out in a space or stop in a space. But also that some of these parklets and pockets that we create for sitting and so on can be taken over by men, and very quickly, even though it was women who ideated them and visualized them, because they saw these in other parts of the city. And so we had discussions around what these might begin to mean, and then to see where the safe spaces continue to be. And these seem to be public spaces that were around shops and things like that. And so we took all of these things in mind. I think the main lessons for us were being able to see that when we begin to form a community of women like
Joy,
this,
can you summarize the lessons? Joy, can you summarize the lessons really quickly?
To also, yes, so that's your willingness and capacity to engage with secondary things that come up. So some of the secondary things that came up were what opportunity that might be available for the girls, and can you point them towards that? The social issue. And of course, the big to the whole question of implementation, which is part of what we'll be able to discuss in the next phase. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Joy. Next, we'll go to Heidi Clark from the Sandals Foundation to tell us about her city in Montego Bay. Over to you, Heidi.
Good morning, everybody. It's great to be here. So we've been working on a project that just started this year with UN Habitat and the local municipal corporation in Montego Bay, west end of Jamaica, looking to develop a social and educational hub, which is also climate resilient and of course economic resilient as well, with social enterprise being included. This is in a community that is extremely volatile and very stigmatized by its reputation. So the Science Foundation really sits in the position of the funding partner. But I have to say that from the get-go, because of the Her City tools, we have been at the table and very involved with the whole process and through the workshops. I think that the Her City tools have kind of been a change maker in the planning stages of this project, because that's where we're really at this stage one. It has certainly given voice to the prospective shareholders of this project. And this includes elderly women and teen girls who are working very collaboratively. And of course, you know, it's a hands-on experience, and through things like the Inhabit Place tool, it has really helped us to kind of dig deeper to look at the challenges and the gaps and needs of the community. I think it's also caused great buy-in and ownership by the community. And then because of the whole digital aspects, it has been quite innovative in engaging the young people, but it's also had them work quite collaboratively with the elderly because of the technology gap. So that has been a real positive for us through it all. And I think it's also made us as a funder recognize the critical steps that are needed to really develop sustainable urban planning. So I think from the get-go, between the Inhabit Place tool, which we've done, we've gotten the community members out there and assessing the community with the existing space that is there, helping them to recognize the real issues that they're facing in their community. And then using the method card kits to have both the professional aspects and those that are non-professional joint in one vision has been incredible. And then the Minecraft, we saw, you know, excellent presentations, but also the confidence that came out of these groups that were working collaboratively. One of the real main issues that I think we faced, and Lubna mentioned it, is, you know, working with the municipal, we have had timelines that have not met what we expected. But I think overall, using these tools and being a donor, it has been so informative, and we are actually the first in the Caribbean to use these and see it certainly as a way to scale up as we analyze going into other projects within this region. So very grateful to be part of this and to continue the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Heidi. Next, we go to Valina Gerapanta, who is an assistant professor at the Technical University of Crete, to tell us about the project. Over to you, Valina.
Hi everybody, very nice to be here, and thank you for the invitation. We had the chance at the Technical University of Crete to use the toolbox on two occasions, different occasions. The first took place during a short period in 2021 in the framework of the workshop Update My City, Public Space, Smart Technologies and Urban Health, that was co-organized with the UN Habitat and the Center for Mediterranean Architecture and the Global Pandemic Network. On that occasion, the participants used block 2 and 3, so the citywide assessment and the site-specific assessment. And the overall topic of the workshop was on it was focused on finding alternative ways to govern, use and manage public space. And the platform was used as a background supporting technology to receive data and structure the thoughts of the participants. Later on, in fall 2021, in the framework of the course Smart and Digital Cities at the university, and following a letter of intent with co-signed with the Her City colleagues, we proceeded on using the platform for educational reasons to support the training of students on how to use ICT in planning. And the focus of this time was redesigning public spaces, so urban design, from a gender neutrality perspective. On these occasions, we used almost all blocks, the 1, 2, 3, 4, and parts of the 5, and followed workshops on the use of the platform taught by the Her City colleagues, Her City experts, that assisted to speed up the process that usually takes more time. We had only 13 weeks in our disposal. In both cases, we had the mixed teams between females and males, more or less the same amount percentages. And in the second case, which lasted more and we can extract better information, better evaluation, we saw that each space, what happened is that each space was analyzed from many different perspectives, always around the sectors of comfort, public equipment, accessibility, safety. I mean, the sectors that they were they were inside the platform, and the overall mission was very positive for all the participants. In the end of their experience, all of the participants of this semester, they proceeded in providing feedback on the use of the platform, and their answers were emphasized more on the usability of the platform and also on how excellent it was, the collaboration with colleagues from the Her City program. In what we learned from this experience is that in the first place, it was a great program to raise awareness for the civil society and also for the authorities. Example of this can be the response of the citizens to the Instagram campaign the students started and how many people it attracted in such a short period of time. And according to that social campaign, new synergies were developed and more people get involved and ask for more information and got interested, something that is not so common in a city like Hanya. In addition, we saw that from an educational point of view, the use of Kobo, the use of all necessary tools that they were uploaded in the platform were very easy to use, and they were simple in the same way. So it was easy for us to go to deepen a bit in the kind of data we wanted to highlight and the kind of projects we wanted to allow to come up. Participants were very happy to be able to understand social bonds and synergies with the built environment. And also one of the last things research-wise, we saw that they got empowered, and all of this experience led to different publications, 2 of them, in high prestigious journals. And I think on a research basis, this was a good result. Of course, we had also challenges coming out indicated by students and by the teaching group. These were related to how we need to build capacities, more capacities, invest in training, and for all the stakeholders that they are involved in the program. We had some difficulties with the municipality. It took more time than what we needed. We needed an investment. We didn't arrive in time as the whole experience finished. And also, we think from an educational point of view, maybe the educational resources that they are available inside the platform, just as bibliography for design reasons, not for the gender neutrality, should be, let's say, a little bit bigger so as to allow students to navigate easier in the design phase. That's all. I'm sorry, Pontus, for taking more time.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Paulina. And we are exactly on time. Wow, this is amazing. The phone moderation is really helping. Next we go to another interactive session, and this time we are actually going to use Miro. I'm going to pass over to Tove to explain it and take us through it. This is the moment where we all work together and help the Her City team to come up with some good ideas on scaling the program, etc. While we're working in the Miro, I'm also going to pick on some of the panelists again and ask a couple of follow-up questions. But before that, I'll pass over to Tove to take us through the Miro. I think Elin has also put a link to the Miro board in the chat, so you can click on that and open it up. Over to you, Tove.
Thank you, Pontus. Yeah, you have the link in the chat for Miro, and you also have a QR code on your screen. So if you want to use your phone, it might be easier to access it with the QR code. Let's see. I'm going to share my screen now. Let's see if it works. Here we go. And when you access Miro, it will look like this, hopefully. And we're actually gonna continue on what where Evelina left off, but just for everyone so that you know how to use Miro, we're gonna use sticky notes, and we have color-coded the different sticky notes. So if you're a representative from a UN agency, or then you use a blue sticky note, and if you're from public sector, you use a yellow one, private is green, civil society is pink, and academia is purple. And here we can see a lot of different inputs on the questions that the panel answered. And we want all of your sticky notes to fill this up as well. We're not going to stay on this board for too long, but we still, since all of you were project team or Toolbox users, we know that you have a lot to contribute with on this board as well. So what worked well in the Her City project that you were part of, and what was problematic, and what were the main lessons learned? So please just add a sticky note. Either go into the sticky notes on the left-hand side and choose your color. I would be pink, and then you just pick it up like this, or you go to the repository and you click on that sticky note and right-click on it and duplicate, and there you have another one. And then it's just a double click and fill in the text yourself. Let's see, and let's see that people are joining. I haven't seen any sticky notes yet.
Bobby, I requested for the editor rights because I couldn't do anything as a viewer.
Okay, I thought it was open for all now. Is that something that we can do anything about, Veikun and Elin and everyone on that side? Because it's supposed to be open for everyone to add.
So Chiara's just put another link in the chat, and Veikun as well. So try the link that has just been posted now. It might work better.
Okay.
Does everyone have the same problem?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, try these new links and we'll see if that works. If not,
yeah,
please let us know and we'll try to find another way.
I think it works. Yep, it works.
Good. Great. Now we can see some action on the board. So I think it works for most of you. Great. So this is it's an opportunity for everyone to just do a quick evaluation and share the experience. And we will also post a survey later on where you can do this in more detail. But this is a very good way for us to do the self-evaluation. And when we feel ready, we can move on to the ways forward. Just to kick off the brainstorm, we will ask the panelists these questions, but using the same color sticky notes, we want you to fill up what's needed to scale and how for Her City, and how we can collaborate to integrate Her City projects, Her City into your projects that you have that are not Her City. So you can fill out both the pink board and the yellow board. But just to kick off the brainstorm, Pontus, do you want to ask some questions to the panel, maybe?
Yeah, maybe just give it a couple of minutes. I see a lot of people are still working on the pink side. So maybe we can just let people finish in like a couple of minutes before we move to the yellow. What I'll do is I'll start the timer. I'll put it on 2 minutes, and then in 2 minutes we can move on to the to the purple. So is that okay, Tue?
Yeah, sure. Yellow, but yeah.
All right. Oh, sorry, yeah, the yellow. From pink to yellow. So I'm putting the timer on 2 minutes and let people share the post-its on the pink side.
It's very interesting to read all the post-its here. You can see that even though it's different sector, it's still the same challenges and also what worked well.
Joy here. I think I'll rely on the questions because mine is hanging and my colleague Bogwa also can't get in. So we'll probably rely on the questions to see whether that helps you pick up
So
responses.
in about 20 seconds, we move on from the pink to the yellow. If you can't access the Miro, you can also type in the chat, and then Chiara, who's here, will help us by creating posts on the Miro board. Here's the time's up. Let's move to the yellow. So do you want to just take us through the three sections here?
Yeah, sure. So we continue using the same color sticky notes, but this time we think about what's next for her city. So new ways forward. So we would like you to answer what is needed to scale and how we can collaborate to integrate her city in your ongoing projects or new projects. And we also, if you have something else that you don't feel fits in the first and second column, please provide it in the third one. And here's also the survey for everyone to do afterwards.
Great.
So that's the questions. Yeah.
Right. So we have what is needed to scale and how on the left, and then how we can collaborate, and then we have any other ideas on the right. While you're doing that, we wanted to invite our panelists to reflect a little bit on this. So we'll kind of like two things will happen at the same time. Like, please continue working in Miro, and then I will invite the panelists again to reflect a little bit on how to build long-term partnerships, and also what kind of funding opportunities might be there to scale her city. And we'll start with Adipat Warankandanand, who is from UNFPA Thailand. Over to you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for opportunity, and thank you for inviting us to participate in this. And for us in Thailand, we also have like tell the stories about what we did. The Bobe report was very beautiful layout and design, so it's very easy to catch the eyes of the audiences. And we kind of like tell the stories to the governors of Bangkok, and also to some of the networks who are urban planners and also architects that are very interested in working with us. So we want to build up like maybe capacities within the country. Maybe we can seek cooperations from UN Habitat to train the local kind of like city planners and also architects and also the people who work in like urban planning, urban planners at the BMA, and also some of the provinces are interested in that we want to pursue there. And now we are in the process of drafting the proposals to work with UN Habitat and also the local partners in order to seek for funding and also maybe seek for buy-in from the local counterparts that they want to see the whole scope and also the scale that they can stream up or also see the potential of the project. And I think it's has some positive kind of feedback earlier, and we need to keep the momentum on and then build upon that. And what we haven't done is using Minecraft in the process, and we still like wondering how we can integrate that, because some of the communities are ready for that as well here in Thailand.
Great, thank you so much. Next, let me invite Lubna to reflect a little bit on this. Lubna, please.
Thank you. I guess like the next step possible, like to how to see like her city is more to think about the sustainability, and sustainability not only in the financial sense of like bringing more money to implement more projects, but also sustainability of the ongoing like intervention. Like we worked with all these partners, with the local authorities, and my personal fear was like when we were like through the process is that once the project ends, like what happened next? All this knowledge, all this capacity, will it disappear? Will it be put on the shelf? What happens next? And from there we started thinking like, I think it's important to give like tools how to institutionalize like these tools within the existing like planning systems, at least at the local government units. And for that, for example, I can share our experience in Palestine. What we have done, in addition to kind of like building the capacity and providing trainings to the local staff, we have kind of customized, like we took all these like steps, let's say, like through the process, and we developed kind of like a methodology book that can be used, easy to use in Arabic language, well illustrated, to be used by the local, like the staff of the municipalities, for instance. And also we went and worked with every like single department, and we saw where is their role within the process. Some of them comes like at the planning phase, some comes at the implementation phase, some comes at the management and kind of like maintenance phase. So follow up, we worked with the like budgets and the finance, the municipal, how the municipalities also can like integrate like these like a recommendation from the assessments into their kind of like annual plans and financial plans and budgets. So in this way, how to kind of like this process become more integrated within the municipal like body and day-to-day function. So that was at the local level. Also, we thought that sometimes even the municipality could like become like easily go back to their like old kind of like school methods that they used. So we tried to kind of say, okay, maybe if it comes like a little bit from more enforcement from the national level. So we thought, okay, it's good maybe to develop like a public space policy, which is the first of its kind, at least in Palestine and in our region, where it have like specific pillars that guide the municipalities how to integrate like public space. And it's not only kind of like the traditional way of looking, oh, it's only like a green area in a park, but also to look beyond that, to look into kind of like cultural heritage, to look at environment, climate change, economy, social integration and inclusion and cohesion. So all of these different dimensions also to become part of their day-to-day work and the process. And I believe that we're still kind of like in that testing process. We're still in like working with them, and hopefully like at the end of the process we will be able to achieve this objective. And for us that is like the real accomplishment at the end of the day, not only kind of like the little projects here and there, because at the end of the day they're kind of like pilot projects. And so if we don't ensure that the follow-up from their end with their own budget, with their own kind of like work, if they manage to follow the same process, then we have achieved our objective. So that's kind of like my first recommendation, maybe to find ways how to help local authorities to kind of like institutionalize like the process and to ensure sustainability of her city. That's one thing. And if the time allows me, I have one more recommendation, just to give like at least like some practical experience. Is like we see that all the projects and all the examples are more like public space kind of like specific oriented. Like we go through the process, but at the end we end up with a public space development, which is great and it's important, and I'm not undermining this. But I believe as a next level, maybe we should kind of like look at more neighborhood planning to become more gender responsive, more reflects the needs of girls and women. And I know that now we have different initiatives in Habitat, and like we talk about like the proximity kind of like things and looking at how it serves. But I feel like if we can also work on these ideas to become more integrated within the planning process, and the tools help planners to use like these ideas, I believe that would be a big like achievement. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lubna. Next, let's go back to Sanna from Botkyrka in Stockholm.
Thank you. This one is a little tricky for me, but I choose to think of this from where we stand and what our conditions are. And I think one thing that is good to know about Botkyrka is that we work quite a lot with citizen dialogues and in different kinds of processes where we work with citizen participation, pretty much. Also in development of public spaces. If there's to be a renovation of a park, there is always some kind of dialogue preceding the project. And we also have examples of children and youth being able to influence and being part of the prioritizations within the project. So basically deciding what the project is going to be in the end and what is going to be built or not. So I think starting with that, we also have something called area strategists, which is people working in every neighborhood. We have one person in charge of basically being in touch with the citizens, so keeping track of what the needs are, what the situation is, what issues there are that we need to work with. And they have great knowledge of what goes on locally. So I would say that we have quite a big knowledge when it comes to those things. And it's sort of integrated in different parts of the organization, not as well as it could be, but that's the idea. And that, of course, could be developed. But I think thinking about the toolbox, for me, it's easier to think of how different parts of the toolbox could be implemented in different projects. As we already have a broad knowledge, and I think, and we're often limited when it comes to time and resources. So I think for us, it would be easier to think of like what particular tools that we could use in a particular situation, what would be most useful to us. And that's not necessarily an answer to how do we scale up, because that maybe sounds more like scaling down. But I think in some way, it would be a way to use the tools more than they are today, at least. Not quite sure which methods we use nowadays.
Great, thank you so much.
Yeah, sure.
Next, let's go back to Heidi. Thoughts on scaling up and funding in new partnerships.
So thanks. I think really from a donor perspective, one of the biggest things is going to be awareness. It's awareness to the toolboxes, and it's also awareness to the outcomes of projects worldwide. You know, I don't know if there's enough awareness out there, and I think that would greatly help donors to come on board. And then, of course, you know, proving viability of these projects that have taken place then allows them to become a much larger. Oops, I have a little reverb there. Sorry. Then, of course, allows them to be scaled up, and as you know, Lubna mentioned, to planning of neighborhoods or planning of cities. But I think it starts with the awareness for the donors and really putting the data out there. And that is going to be one of the key aspects. And then the other is the training, offering training of utilizing these tools. So to NGOs, to government, to private sector, I think that will also, bring more awareness, but I think it will engage more people in using the tools. They have been very useful, and I think that the more awareness, the better we'll be to really scale the whole program. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Heidi. Next, let's go back to Joy. Thoughts on scaling up?
Yeah, sorry, the internet is a bit atrocious. I think that for us, of course, this whole toolkit was to try and see how it helps us begin to embed the question of public space development at the level of the streets into our project. And so how do we package this together with the ongoing development into something that can then be financed and something that can then be adopted and incorporated within the city development plans, but also within certain other spaces that are looking at southern options. So what we have done is, and what I suppose we'd recommend is that how does this, how do pilot projects or pilot initiatives move on to become real examples and case studies of best practice? So what we've been able to do is to motivate and push for our project to become a flagship project of Nairobi County, which it is, which means there are now budget allocations made at the level of the county towards this. But of course, that's just the first step. The next step is to actually to try and see how those budgets are mobilized. And this is where I think partnerships with various collaborators can begin to bring muscle into trying to encourage the city to try and see how they move this forward. I think validation spaces as well become very important. So what kind of validation spaces are available for exercises like this once they're done? And we have benefited very much from the fact that Nairobi County has been working with ITDP Kenya to develop a street manual, and that they did launch a street manual. And so to plug this particular Her City, Her Streets project within the idea of the street manual development, and then to try and see how space is created for city engineers, road authorities, which we've done, to be high-level validators of the process, and then to begin to see how they themselves can think about how this is integrated into their own road plans and visions moving forward. And I think in a lot of this, it's really now how to leverage networks and partnerships to begin to make a case for the value of such integrations, and of course to try and see how the financing and funding opportunities that can open up in ways that make these things real projects in the city as well.
Thanks a lot, Joy. Really important to institutionalize is what we're hearing. Finally, let's go back to Alina from the Crete experience.
Yeah, I think that I am also very close to what the previous speaker said. I would add only from the university perspective that maybe there is a need to identify the common objectives because there are many official channels where you can understand the Her City initiative well, and then you might learn it, get training. The UN colleagues allow you to get closer. But the common objectives with the learning environment, this is something different. So for me to imagine in scaling up at the university level. In our environments, you can measure the impact of, you can measure actually the results of a program when you implement a program from the research impact it has, from the way it influences policies, from the way it engages more synergies and finances, and on these are the main ways. So I would suggest more time, let's say, or in understanding well and building a common objective, understand how we can actually have same understanding and how we can plan a joint learning experience for the participants. From the funding opportunities, I think from our world, there are grant opportunities, or there are research projects. As everybody knows, it's not very easy to reach all the skills of the research project, but I think there are many opportunities as long as we identify the goals in each case. And then there are also impact investments that happen very often, or sponsorships that we see growing the more we are entering deeply into research. What I miss is like a feedback mechanism on how, apart from learning the innovative use of this platform, is how we can integrate it better in a process of learning and then turning it into something new. This is where I would more pay, let's say, invest time.
Thank you so much, Valina. Very interesting. We have a couple of minutes left in this segment. So if there are any questions from anyone, please feel free to put your hand up, and we can then have the panelists respond. Bobe, please come in.
When I was developing several project proposals with Ellen and her city team, we always put the component of girls conference, like her city conference. For girls in global level, they come together and share their experience, and as a collective, they would have better voice. So, like for example, similar to Youth Connect, which is going to happen in Kenya, but it could be really great to have such a conference to bring girls together. Over to you.
Good suggestion. Who wants to pay for such a conference? Anyone here? Please, if you're interested in bringing girls from all these exciting projects together, and you have some ideas on funding, you can put your hand up and volunteer, of course. But you can also use the post-its. So maybe that's something. Any ideas on funding for this kind of global advocacy? Any ideas? Please do put them on the Miro board. Adipat?
Yeah, I totally support the idea Bobe suggested about the come first. Of course, I think a lot of efforts has been raised awareness or raised, but there's no concrete kind of like suggestion and concrete kind of projects that can use to follow or to set up like as example for that, where the girls and women can really participate in the livelihood development, right? So maybe Thailand can do that. Like maybe we can talk with Eileen and Bobe to maybe develop the program for the first conference here in Thailand, for example.
Great, fantastic. We leave that with the Her City team. Lubna.
Just a thought, like just it's not always again to depend on financing from outside. Like maybe just to kind of create this sort of competition between cities by giving them, kind of like this medal or like something to be proud of. Like say like who is kind of more gender responsive city in the world, and kind of announce it maybe in the WOOF or announce it in like any other events. So just kind of like give incentives to the cities to encourage them to use the toolbox, provide them with the tools. So kind of like to help them take the lead, to sit in the front seat, not us, like, and we can support as much as we can. So that's kind of like one recommendation. And if we combine that like with the training programs, I believe that will be very helpful.
Thanks, Lubna. Yeah, I'm also a big fan of the kind of competition incentive to work with local governments. Many mayors like to win competitions, as we know. Any other comments or questions? Okay, if not, then back to you, Tove, to maybe summarize this session on the Miro board. It might be a little bit difficult with so many post-its, but we have trust in you.
Thank you. There are a lot of post-its, but there are some common things that reoccur. It's very interesting to see. One of the things is to really step up the girl engagement when it comes to the next phase. We have some post-its proposing forums and WOOF, as you've been talking about in the panel as well. and also doing girl-led both projects, local projects, and communication campaigns. So that's something that reappears on the board a lot. And when it comes to funding, it's always a topic of interest for everyone. But we have suggestion here of a Her City Foundation to attract funding for small scale interventions. So that's one way of doing it, perhaps. And it's a lot of post-its about collaboration and strengthening the collaboration, really mainly to involve governments more and institutionalize the toolbox. And I think that this also latches on to one part that is lower the bar. So that concerns language, and as Sanna was saying as well, really making sure that it's understandable how to use the different parts of the toolbox in different projects, but also having more targeted guidelines and recommendations on how to use the tools depending on if you're from a municipality or a civil society organization, or whoever you are. So targeting guidelines and recommendations. And this also jacks into the awareness raising that Heidi mentioned. And that's something that we can see in the post-its here, that finding ways of raising awareness in general about gender and participatory processes, but also making the data from the projects available so that it can be used in different settings. So that's some of the topics that are reoccurring in this Miro board. But we also have, just before I leave it over to you again, Pontus, I just want to make everyone aware of the survey that we have. You can still continue to add on the board, of course, but we have the survey here. You can use the QR code or the link. It will be posted in the chat. And this is a bigger way for us to get more points of view and input from you, and you can sit down and do it in your own time. So we would really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Tove, for that summary. And I should say also, I mean, you can't see them. I can see them. Here in the same room as me is, well, I should turn the filter off. In the same room as me is the Her City team. So Elin, Weikun, and Kiara. They've been taking notes the whole time and really focused the whole time, noting what you've been saying and what's there on the Miro board. So just so you know that they are there. Okay, finally, before we close, we will have some closing comments by Rehema Kabare, who was a Her City participant in the Nairobi project. Rehema, over to you.
Hello, everyone. Hi, my name is Rehema Kabare. I am a practicing graduate construction manager in Nairobi, Kenya, and I am one of the participants in the Her City, Her Streets project here in Nairobi that Joy Boya talked about earlier. One special thing that stood out and keeps standing out throughout the entire process is the ability and the process that includes all the girls and women that we started with right from the ideation stage to the design phase, and now even at the implementation level, they are still being included, or we are still being included. And I really just wish that this process could be adopted at a much larger scale for many reasons, but just to mention one is we do not just have better design cities, but we also have citizens who take ownership of their own city. Citizens who are empowered and take up action to create a better future for themselves and for future generations. But this just doesn't happen, doesn't just come about. Something has to change, and I think it starts with changing our own mindset and accepting that something new has to come into place. And I'm more than grateful to have been part of this process, and I keep being part of the process. Because as an individual and as a practitioner in the built environment, I have been able to see things from a different angle. And I do get to talk about this to many other people. And I really just wish that this can grow to become much, much bigger to get the cities that we want to see. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Asante sana, Rema, for those closing words. And with that, I want to thank you all. It's been a really great session. I'm super inspired, and I am so happy to see how far her city has come in the now, what is it, 6 years since we started it, and really looking forward to seeing what comes next. Thank you so much. Thanks to all the panelists. Thanks to all the participants. And I wish you a good day, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are. Thank you so much, and bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.